We're back. Welcome to the United Pubcast. And it's the same shit that we saw last season. So I don't know why I took this big break. But nonetheless, it's great to be back. Greetings to all of you. And let's talk about that game. Manchester United 1, Arsenal 2, Los Angeles. It's a friendly. It's a new season. With a new season comes optimism, comes hope, comes excitement. But I hate to say it, with all the injuries that have happened, I kind of feel like I'm still stuck in last season. New coaches, new physios, new doctors, some sunshine instead of the winter, new kit, but the same old injuries. Nonetheless, what did you think of the match? Look, all things considered, I'm pretty happy with it. That second half is therapy for anyone who's suffering from sleep apnea, for anyone who's suffering from insomnia, for anyone who just struggles to get to sleep. Just watch that second half of football and you will be sweet. But in all seriousness, I thought it was a pretty good football match. Really happy with the first half. I think the first half from a Manchester United perspective is where your optimism, your insight, your analysis really goes to. The second half, not too much really happened, right? From a Manchester United perspective, obviously Martinelli scores the goal, and from a Manchester United's defense, bit disappointing, but nonetheless, great to see some people join in. The Pubcast is back, and it's so good to be back. So let me just revel in that a little bit. But yeah, we did take a little bit of a break, but we're back. We'll be back all season long, and I can't wait to bring the content to you. But honestly, on this football match, so let's talk about, you'll see in the thumbnail, Manchester United's, we found our left back, our new left back. Harry Amas. This kid is serious. He is Manchester. You know what? We've seen all the links with left backs, with Manchester United stepping up their search. We've seen links with Nazuri from Bayern Munich, and we've seen Tyrone Malacia, who's going to be seemingly in rehab for the next 5 years. But in all seriousness, Harry Amas, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It was really refreshing to watch him play. Young, sharp. He's really calm and composed on the ball. Very technical player. I love the little 1-2 exchange in the first half. That was probably the highlight of the game, to be honest. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about the goal in a moment. But Harry Amas, Manchester United, stopped the search for a left back. We've got our future left back right here. Honestly, 18 years of age. I think he was 16 at the end of last season. So he might actually he's not even 18 yet. This kid's brilliant. I like what I saw. Obviously, he wasn't really tested defensively. I will talk about Arsenal's goal, obviously, because he was obviously crucial and part of the makeup of Gabriel Jesus's goal. And I'm saying goal intentionally because I think he was offside. Just someone tell the touchy. But we'll cut to that in a moment. Harry Amas, player for me, absolute player for me. He was the one who was the best player, and I thought he looked good. Obviously, there's going to be greater tests, but this was the greatest opposition we've faced so far in terms of Manchester United's pre-season. So there will be greater tests to come. You want to see him tested in a one-on-one situation defensively. You want to see him tested in set pieces. But he can only do what comes to him. And so far, I've got to say, if Luke Shaw is unfit, I don't know what's happening with Malacia. Harry Amas, for me, obviously pre-season, there's still some way to go. He's forcing his way in. And that's what pre-season's really about. It's about getting match rhythm. It's about fitness. The result, obviously, we like to win, but it ultimately does not matter. You want to see young kids take their opportunity. And Harry Amas, for me, is taking his opportunity. Collier is the other one I'll touch on, Toby Collier. So this game probably didn't stand out as much as he did against Rangers. That being said, I thought he was everywhere. Defensively, I like the amount of ground he covers. He gets a tackle in. He puts in a shift. I really like him. And again, there's going to be greater tests to come. You want to see him under more pressure. But it looks to me that Erik ten Hag has said these two players, Harry Amas and Toby Collier, are the two that, if there's going to be some sort of progression into the first team, it's going to be one of these two players. So, but get your thoughts in. Tell me who was your standout player. Who are you happy with? Who are you disappointed with? So what I will be doing this season is, so in the past we had 3-2-1s, but this season we're going to do something a little bit different. Every game I'm going to bring to you something that I thought was brilliant, something that I thought to you was bad, and something that I thought was outright bullshit. So we will get to that in a moment. But let's just finish the analysis of the match. Oh, it's Sunday. Forgive me. It's the Sabbath. But looking at the game, so Harry Amas, obviously great highlight. Rashford still looking rusty, right? I mean, his ball for Højlund's goal was pleasing to see. And that was the best bit of play from Marcus Rashford. His touch looks heavy. He's not quite there. He struggled to get into the game, I felt. But again, it's pre-season. You don't read too much into it. You don't decide whether a player is going to be successful or not based on pre-season. But yeah, you want to see more from Marcus Rashford as pre-season progresses, and hopefully get a couple goals in before the season starts. Because obviously he had a poor return last season, scored 9 goals, didn't go away to the Euros. Marcus Rashford needs to have a big season. It's make or break for him. So he needs to make some sort of impact in this pre-season, right? So it's going to be crucial for Marcus to do that. In terms of highlights, though, so I'm really going to focus on the first half. That second half, as I said, if you have insomnia, that's the game to watch. Sleeping. It was boring. But the first half, here were the highlights. Mason Mount. I know it was a preseason game. I think that's his best performance in a Manchester United shirt. Mason Mount looks good. And it actually gave me a little bit of optimism to say, you know what, if Bruno's not fit, if Mason Mount can be available, if Mason Mount can be in and around the squad, maybe he can deputize in that number 10 position. We've seen him almost playing as a pivot when he has been available at times last season. That's not Mason Mount's game for me. He's not someone who's going to cover every blade of grass. He's not someone with defensive instincts and skills. He's someone who actually impacts in the final third. In fact, if you're going to play Mason Mount, not in the 10, you'd put him in a wide position for me. He's not rapid, but he's got the intelligence and the movement to make an impact in that wide area, a good delivery into the box. And that's what Manchester United need, particularly when you think of having a striker like Xerxes, for example, who look, isn't brilliant in the air, but, can be a bit more technical and can play the 1-2s. And for Højlund today, obviously we'll get to his potential injury in just a moment. But Mason Mount was a bright spot for me, and I hope it's an injury-free season, and I hope it's a season where he can have an impact. Because if he is fit, I think he is in that mold of a Bruno Fernandes, a bit different, perhaps not as energetic, but definitely in terms of technicality, in terms of creativity, Mason Mount can offer you something in that final third. So if he can stay fit, Mason Mount can have an impact. Happy with what I saw from him today. I think it's a step in the right direction. Let's hope he can stay injury-free. The other one, Amad. Amad looks good. Once again, he didn't get a goal today. He was unlucky. He had a really good shot after a good period of play. But again, looks so technical with the ball. He protects possession well, which is actually the thing that makes that the thing I love about Amad. When you play in the wide positions, generally a manager or a coach will give those players a license to lose the ball. Amad seems to throw that out the window. He keeps the ball. He keeps it simple. He's got such brilliant close control. And for that reason, he recycles possession well. His intelligence is brilliant. The spaces he occupies are good. He's got a good turn of pace. And like that first 10 yards, he's bursting past players. Love to see it. He brings players into the game. I think that's why you're seeing Aaron Wan-Bissaka actually play some good football, because Amad is keeping the ball, creating the space for Wan-Bissaka, who has his limitations, granted, but you saw the cross in from Wan-Bissaka. He's getting that space because he's finally got a winger who's actually giving him the ability, the space, the time, because he retains possession well. He holds good positions. And so Amad, another one. And for me, he starts on the right wing. When the season starts, Amad Diallo needs to start on the right wing. Now, if you're watching this, you're probably saying, well, what about Garnacho? What about Garnacho? It should be Amad. Amad's a better player than Garnacho for me. He offers something a little bit different. I think Garnacho and Rashford offer you the same thing. Amad offers you that point of difference. And I think that the best teams in European football have a bit of flavor, a bit of difference on each side. If you look at Manchester City, you got someone like Grealish, who's a bit more of a dribbler, will come at you, or Doku, who's very quick and very direct, versus Bernardo Silva, who plays in, I know this is going to annoy my former partner Tom here, in the half space, someone who drifts in centrally. But they got that different point of difference on each side. I like that in a team. I like a bit of variety. And I think Amad offers you that. He offers you the balance between creativity, a burst of pace, the ability to dribble. He's good on both feet, even though he's quite left-footed. I like Amad. And again, I think he's a better player than Garnacho. Amad, for me, is Manchester United's right winger when the season proper starts. Against, I think it's Fulham. first game of the season. It's Amad Diallo. He's our right winger. It's not Garnacho for me. It's definitely not Anthony. Amad Diallo is Manchester United's right winger. Case closed. Case closed. The other one is, and look, Rashford, in terms of the left wing, though, that's where I think it's more open. Now, if Garnacho is going to start the season, that left wing position is still wide open because Marcus Rashford, for me, even though a good assist today, again, struggling to impact the game, not really doing enough with it. It's 26 years old, turning 27 soon, Marcus Rashford. Have we seen the best of him? Does he have it in him to hit that 30-goal a season again? Even 20-goal a season? Has Marcus Rashford's best football already passed him by? Too early to say. I'm not saying that's the case or it's not the case, but I think there's a big question mark there. So I think just going into the season, Garnacho, Rashford, left wing, it's still open. It's still open. So I guess time will tell. All right, let's talk about the goal and the injuries. Højlund, obviously, good ball from Rashford. Højlund, he bullies the defender. Was it Timber he was up against, or maybe it was they had a young defender there. Nonetheless, Højlund does well. He uses his size, his strength. Good finish between the goalkeeper's legs. Højlund goes off injured. You got to hope, and so watching MUTV that they're saying it's a hamstring. Man, you got to hope he's fit for the start of the season, because once he went off, our attack went to sleep because we lost that focal point. Because with Højlund, Manchester United play with a focal point striker, and without him there, just like you saw the attack just fizzle out. So you hope he's fit. And I know we got Xerxes. I know we've signed him. Different style of players. So, I hope Højlund can be fit. I think this was meant to be his big season. He's got the number 9, opens his account with the number 9 shirt. Brilliant. But, yeah, let's just hope it's not a serious one and he gets some games before the season proper. And then, obviously, the bigger concern is Euro goes off injured. He can't avoid the Manchester United curse. If anyone can find Matthias Pogba, can someone let him know that Paul Pogba has left Manchester United? You can lift the curse. Just let us be injury-free, mate. Please. We're cursed with the hoodoo. We just want to play. So the injuries are a concern for sure. But, we'll see what the fallout is. We'll see what Ten Hag says in the press conference. But hopeful that Lenny Euro, Rasmus Højlund, they're not serious injuries. So fingers crossed there. That's really it for me in terms of the game highlights. Look, the goal, Gabriel Jesus, he was offside. And if that was a proper game with VAR, he gets ruled offside, right? So I'm not going to read too much into that. And for me, that's why my man of the match was Harry Amas. I thought he was really good. I thought, like we said, with the ball, technically sound, keeps possession well against a very press-strong Arsenal. And he created a brilliant amount of space on the left-hand side. And he actually showed us what we missed with Luke Shaw last season. So if you hope for Luke Shaw to be injury-free, Luke Shaw is first choice, undoubtedly. But if Harry Amas can be in and around the first team and deputise for Luke Shaw, you know what? I know he's young, but you know what? If you're good enough, you're old enough, and I think Harry Amas is absolutely good enough. But let me know what you think. Harry Amas. But yeah, man of the match for me. And look, Euro, he made a small blip early in the first half, but look, he's 18 years of age. It's preseason, not a problem for me. Let's just hope the injury is not too serious. He's holding his calf. Don't know what's happened there, so I'll definitely keep an eye out. So what we said earlier, each game will give you what we thought was brilliant, what we thought was bad, and what we thought was bullshit. So brilliant for me, Harry Amas. If this was a drinking game and I keep saying Harry Amas and we do a shot every time I say Harry Amas, we'd all be blind drunk by now. But I think he's that good. I really do. I like what I saw of him. I like what I've seen in him in the youth setup. But you never know how youth football translates into obviously first team football. And look, it's preseason. The intensity is different, but you got to say, like we said, he can only play what's in front of him. Good signs so far. So the brilliance for me, Harry Amas and that passage of play down the left-hand side in the first half. It was really good to see. Good football all round. The bad for me has to probably be the injuries, right? I mean, Rasmus Højlund goes off. Lenny Euro goes off. We're cursed all the same. We've apparently got an Arsenal's lead doctor, but it's the same shit. So the bad has to be the injuries. Let's just hope it's not too bad. and hope those players are going to deputize again before the season proper, and we see them again in preseason. Particularly Lenny Euro. I thought, look, he's got the skill set for me that just complements Lisandro Martinez perfectly. He's like a younger version of Rafael Varane. And some might say that that's lazy, but if you look at his skill set, I think that's about right, actually. He's good on the ball, but his primary attribute at this stage of his career is his pace and his physicality. So I think Euro definitely adds a compliment there. And actually, he's a good compliment for Harry Maguire, who we know isn't the most mobile, isn't the most pacey player. So let's hope that's not too serious, but I think he'll have a good season. And it just shows we need more signings there. I think we'll need, and we will get another centre-back. But as transfer news break out, we'll do transfer videos. Just want to focus on the game today. The bullshit today has to be Gabriel Jesus' goal. That was poor. Poor officiating. Poor for the fans to see that in terms of, you want to see a competitive game. In terms of the bullshit as well, I've got to say that second half was torturous to sit through. It took every bit of my being not to just open Twitter and have a scroll. Honestly, that second half, right? Falling asleep, really bad. But yeah, there you go. There's your brilliant, your bad, your bullshit for the Arsenal game. But that's it. That's a summary of the match. It's great to be back. In terms of content coming your way, we're going to try and do 2 to 3 videos a week. So that's my commitment to you. We're going to do transfer news. We'll bring to you all the latest in terms of player development, player injuries, maybe even occasional scout reports. So this is what I'm going to do a little bit different, though. So we are the United Pubcast. So I want to do one episode where I actually get a meal at the pub, and we'll talk about the meal we're eating at the pub, rating pub food while we talk Manchester United. So that's in the pipeline, and that's something I want to do that's a little bit different to every other Manchester United YouTube channel out there. We live in Australia too. Australia's all about the pub life. So we're going to review to you the best pub food there is in Sydney. Because let's face it, Sydney is the true hub of Australia, isn't it? But that's essentially it. So we'll be back with you soon. Make sure to stay tuned to the socials. We'll be changing around the graphics and things as we go. So I'm working on some changes. But honestly, it's so good to be back. It's great to connect with you again, and we'll be with you all season long. So let's see how we go with the injuries. When's Manchester United's next game? So I'm just going to bring up the fixtures here. So United have Real Betis is the next match. So that's on Thursday, midday. So I might need to sneak off work at lunchtime and have a peek at that game. And then we got Liverpool next Sunday, and then straight into the Community Shield. So not too many games left to go. So, those positions are definitely up for grabs, and it'll be really interesting to see how the season ends. Rob, Real Betis, yep, spot on, mate. So we'll look out for that game on Thursday, bring you some news there, and we'll definitely bring you a review Thursday night as well, because if I do a review from work, I might lose my job. So I'll be back with you Thursday night for sure. I'll probably give you some content in between. But thank you for tuning in. Have an awesome Sunday. If you're in the UK, have an awesome Saturday. And we will see you real soon. Take it easy. Thanks for watching the video and tuning in to the United Podcast. While you're here, make sure to check out some other videos and subscribe to the brilliance, the bad, and the bullshit. All things Manchester United from down under. Cheers.